Hi guys, and welcome to this week's Josh's vlog video. I hope you've all had a really good week, and I hope you've enjoyed the news that we kind of have a light at the end of this tunnel now, and we can see a route out. Whether it will look exactly like that or not, but we kind of see an idea of when we'll be able to do things again. Today's video actually sort of starts with that kind of announcement. I think we've all been looking forward to it, a bit of an idea of when things might happen. And as I said, we kind of have an idea of now of when we'll be able to do things. And there may be some delays along the way, but at least it's a rough idea of what's to come and what to expect. But I found myself when they announced they were going to be releasing this roadmap, I was very excited and I was looking forward to what they were going to say. And then it was released, and everyone, there was a lot of excitement about it, and a lot of people were looking to sort of June 21st about what they were going to do on that day. And I've heard there's calls for it to be a national holiday and all sorts. And I say a lot of excitement, a lot of people really excited that that's the sort of the date that we've put in place. But I found myself actually looking at this and being a bit, I guess, happy that we had dates there roughly, but actually still looking at it and thinking that still feels like a really long time. And while I previously knew it was going to be at that kind of time frame anyway, actually hearing those dates kind of put it in perspective for me, of like, goodness me, this is still a long time before I can go and see kind of my grandparents in their house and see the rest of my family and things like that. And that kind of knocked me back a little bit, if I'm totally honest. Now, I know that it's something that I sort of should be excited about. It was something I was fully expecting, but it did knock me back a bit. And in a similar fashion, I've been talking to a lot of people recently, or a few people recently, people that I just sort of have conversations with, check up and see how they're doing. And there seems to be a theme through all the people I've been speaking to, is that recently, and sort of in this year really, they've had moments, often after they've had a really good week or a really good month, where they feel like they've been knocked back. And sometimes it's a specific thing that's caused it, and sometimes it's totally out of the blue that just all of a sudden they're kind of struck with negative feelings, a sort of low motivation, not really wanting to do anything, and then having to retreat. And I think that's kind of, maybe a lot of you are going through that as well, and that really can knock you back. In terms of, you can be in a place where you feel like everything is going really well, you've had a really good week, etc., etc. One of the people I spoke to said they'd had the best week of lockdown kind of thing, or even in a few years. And then all of a sudden something happens, or they get hit with these emotions, and they feel really bad because they feel like they've had to go backwards, and they feel like they weren't as far on as they thought they were. They've had to come back, and they've had to retreat. Now, the reason I use this word retreat is because we use this a lot in our kind of lives, and especially when we're talking about emotions and discussing, sometimes we have to kind of retreat slightly and try and deal with emotions. Now, when we think of the word retreat, we often think of it as quite a negative thing. It's kind of linked with defeat. That retreating in a war scenario, which is sort of where it comes from in a battle scenario, is admitting defeat and kind of running away. And there's this real negative connotation to it. But actually, when you kind of think about retreating, and you think and look at it in a actual like military context, it's a real kind of military tactic. What retreating does on the battlefield is, you're saying, if we continue exactly as we are, if we keep pushing forwards the way we are, we're going to end up weaker in an hour, or in a couple of hours, or the next day. We're going to end up weaker than we are now, and weaker than we could be. So you make the tactical decision to retreat, which means bringing everyone back, putting yourself into a place that is much more defensible, putting yourself into a place where you can preserve kind of life, you can preserve people, you can stock up on rations, and you can tend to the wounded. And then that means when you come back, you're coming back so much stronger. And you're putting yourself in a position, so while physically you are moving backwards, kind of tactically and actually you're moving forward. It's a decision you've made to put yourself in a stronger position, to remove yourself from a position which is dangerous, and which you're going to kind of make yourself weaker and cause a problem, and you retreat to a place which is safe. And this is the same thing when it comes to our emotions, when it comes to our faith, when it comes to anything like that. If you're in a moment of retreat, don't see it as admitting defeat. See it as saying, if I was to continue the way I was, even if it felt good, and it kind of felt like things were going really great, you then got to a point where you think, actually, if I continue like this, I may well be in a week's or a month's or a year's time weaker than I could have been if I just take this moment to take a step back, remove myself from a situation and put myself back in a place where I know that I can be safe, where I can preserve life and energy, and where I can put things in place again to kind of make myself stronger and to tend to wounds that maybe we couldn't tend to if we were kind of going full steam ahead. So I guess that's kind of what I want to encourage you with today. There's not much practically for you to kind of take away from this video, other than if you ever find yourself, or if you have found yourself in a moment of retreat, don't let that kind of get you down even more. Don't see it as admitting defeat, and don't see it as always going backwards. See it as a tactical decision to make sure that you're stronger tomorrow than you would have been if you had have continued at kind of full speed ahead. So I hope that's kind of meant something to you. I hope you have a really good week again, and we will see you next week for the next Josh's Vlog video. Thanks very much.